that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome back to Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on SMB. JR Gregory and Kenan Miller here with you on the call. Tonight's producer, Marty Sakala. As 2025 Season 3 rolls on, Week 5 takes us to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. CTMP opened in 1961 outside of Ontario, Canada. Outside of Ontario. That's a state. It's in Ontario, Canada. This track is past host to Can-Am, Trans Am, F1 Canadian Grand Prix, and MotoGP, and current host to IMSA, NASCAR, and Trans Am. Our current configuration, 2.5 miles and 10 corners. And interestingly, our lap record currently was not set by a Formula One car, but an Audi R10 driven by Marco Werner, who put down a 105.823 back in 2008. So Kenan, last 2 weeks were tight and twisty. Mid-Ohio followed by Summit Point. So what do you say we let these cars off the leash tonight and let them stretch their legs at Mosport?
Yeah, thank you, JR. This is certainly the kind of racetrack that's going to allow a lot of top speeds to really shine. Definitely going to see a lot of flowing through the corners. It is very similar to Mid-Ohio. It does have the flowy type of corners. It is all natural grass with the runoffs. We seem to talk about that a lot sometimes when we get there, because it doesn't give you such leverage when you do run wide that you may run wide and have a time penalty or a slowdown. But when you catch that grass, it's very much like ice. on these full-on racing slicks. So it's going to be very flowy, very high speed. There's definitely a lot of passing opportunities, but it really just kind of depends on how you set yourself up really the whole left half before. If you don't set yourself up for it, you're not going to catch them at the right time to make a good passing opportunity at 3 or 4, or even into the Mosport corner at 6 and 7. So it really just, that's what will make a difference, is how you line up your passes, how you can kind of set people up, get used to the draft, and make sure you're in the right position to make a pass.
Yeah, too right. And why don't we go ahead and take a look at our season standing so far. Week 5, Josh Leslie, pretty much a death grip up at the top, at least for the time being, with 86 points. You see Aaron Van Wagner there with 68, Conway right behind him with 64, Duvall and Meyer kind of hanging around as well, rounding out the top 5. Then it's Swanbeck from Guyton, Vase, Jose Navas, and Ken Glasser rounding out the top 10, followed by Hagen, Hun, Chia, Embriette Hyde, Nathan, Clark, Samudio, and Odell. And as I'm speaking now and the session is clicking over, or not quite clicking over, practice winding down, you may have noticed on our initial info graphic the weather forecast with a 97% chance of rain out here, and rain beginning to fall right now in Ontario. So that is going to definitely kind of throw a wrench in. The drivers kind of knew what to expect coming into this, and I had a chance to get out here, Kenan, in the dry earlier in the public servers, and I got to say these F4 cars are fantastic out here. And the interesting thing is, we talk about these being momentum cars, and you could really, really feel it out here at Mosport because of the high speeds. It's really easy to overslow in a couple places. Turn 3 springs to mind, and you really kind of have to be committed. You have to trust the grip, trust the car, and maintain that speed. Speed is your greatest asset around here, and some pretty small mistakes in that category are going to leave you a sitting duck to cars behind.
Yeah, you're absolutely going to see it at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's got a lot of opportunities for passing, but you're right. It's a lot of flowing corners. There's a lot of speed to the track. It seems when you look at it from a bird's eye view, it's kind of a little awkward in a lot of perspectives, but there's certainly places where you can utilize the draft even on shorter straightaways than we're used to. And the Formula 4 car, it really is a perfect mix for it. It's not so overpowered that it kind of negates the corners, and it's not so also underpowered it keeps a slower driver behind you. You can really find a perfect mix of how you're able to exit the corners and really find an advantage over another driver. And I think this is one of the great tracks we'll be at that will be able to shine on the top level drivers we have in the SRG Formula 4 series. The rain, that's kind of what gets it kind of exciting for me, though. You never know what can happen in the rain. But overall, as a track, it's really a driver's track by far.
Yeah, the rain, the great equalizer, and we're seeing the lap time starting to plummet. We're riding along with Ryan Chia, and you know what happens when you add water to one of those? He was building up the green stuff off the side of the track. So, so far, looking at my timing tower, nobody's bothering to put wets on right now as practice winds down, but we'll see what the weather gods have in store for qualifying, which is going to start here in just over a minute's time. We'll have a 15-minute open qualifier, and we've said this before, Kenan. These F4s are kind of interesting. It can be raining and the track can be damp, and slicks can still be faster than treaded tires. So it depends on how hard it's raining and how wet the surface is going to get here is going to play a role in the decision what kind of tires to run when qualifying kicks off here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm just looking on the little timing board with all the little numbers, and Sean Adell's gone for a spin, got himself recovered, goes to another corner, spins again. So there's definitely some good water on the track right now, but we saw it in Oran Park last year, I believe, when we were doing the short course of Oran Park. And I mean, we got that heavy, hard rainstorm right near the end of the race, and some cars were able to manage with the slick tires. Some cars really needed the wets to be able to find the traction. So it'll be kind of interesting if it stays wet for the start of the race, what kind of tires people will look at, or whether they think if it does start raining, we'll come back down and put wets on. Because the way the weather's looking right now, it's really a 50-50 chance over the next 30-40 minutes, which is when the race will have been concluded by then. So it's a lot of mixed strategy going on. I'm sure everybody's kind of pondering over the risk versus reward of what decision you make.
Yeah, and these laps here are so short, Kenan. If somebody decides to, change their mind during the race or roll their dice with a tire change during the race, it's going to be absolutely brutal having to stop in the pits and get 4 tires. It's you come out of that a lap down with these laps only about 75 seconds long. So they're really going to have a tough choice out of the gate. And yeah, you're right. I remember that Orem Park race from last season, and a number of our competitors switched to wets during the race, came back out, and did not have the pace of the people driving at the front of the field still on slick. So super interesting that league organizers have thrown this wild card in. CTMP is very difficult, and even in the best of times in the dry, diabolically designed. There are a couple of high-speed corners where the car gets light right across the apex, referring, of course, particularly to turn 2 and also turn 4, where you really have to commit, turn into an apex and an exit that you can't see, and kind of hope for the best. And if you watched IMSA this past weekend, I think it was, even the professional drivers had some difficulties in those areas. So why not put some water down and see if we can make it a little harder on these guys?
Oh, absolutely. The water is just element I think a lot of these people do not wish for in the SRG Formula 4 series. And as we were talking about before we actually went live in the broadcast, we were looking at the schedule, and it does give you a kind of a percentage or an optimism of how little rain there will be as the schedule shows. And for this Canadian Tire Motorsports Park race, it was listed as unlikely for rain to happen, but here it is. We do likely have rain, so kind of catches you off guard throughout the season. You think you might get lucky, and we do see we've got wet tires out on the track right now. He's gonna hopefully get a decent out lap and not get himself caught up with too much traffic going into his hot lap. But so I was looking at my notepad here before I shut up, and so the off-camber corners, you really think about turns 3 and 4, even as you're going through the hairpin at 6 and 7, I believe. It's all kind of off corner. It really is designed to just spit your car off into the gravel. That's really what a Formula car is going to really have to fight with, because they are carrying a lot more speed. They don't have the weight like a sports car or a GT car. And the aerodynamics, you just get that car just a little twitched, and it's going to go for sure. This track is very flowing, but it's kind of built very much to be its own demise, and especially in the wet, it's only going to be slicker.
Yeah, too right. And time starting to come in. Conway putting down a 1:18.6, and he is on slick tires. And Kenan, I'm going to say that these initial laps during qualifying are going to be the critical laps where slicks are still working. And as even if the track gets wetter, the treaded tires are not going to be able to do in terms of pace what these slicks are doing right now. So these guys have got to light the wick, get some times down right now, because we're just going to see times falling off a cliff as the track gets wetter and wetter. And both Conway and Leslie getting off to huge starts. Leslie almost breaking into the 117s. So the moisture not impeding him at all. Leslie is absolutely flying.
Yeah, I don't think the water's quite affected the rubber yet. We do have quite a difference in speed. I mean, even at practice speeds right now, we're beating them. So there's a lot of speed in the track. There's definitely some clouds over. It's keeping it cool. The rain does look to have maybe subsided slightly, albeit it is still surrounding the entire track. But you're absolutely right. Whatever you put down in the first 5 minutes of the session, I can't see it not holding up wherever you put for anybody that puts on a time after that. The track is just eventually going to get too wet. 15 minutes seems like a long time. It's going to get wet. You've got to get it down in early and go ahead and park your car, kind of save what you got for the race time.
Yeah, too right. And only, as you can see from our graphic there, only one car out right now on wets, and that is Michael Hun. And as you can see from the times there, those treaded tires not doing Hun any favors at all, almost 10 seconds off the pace, which is an eternity on this very short CTMP. And who are we looking at now? It looks like Embriette Hyde coming around with a car in front of her. We'll switch over to Sean Odell, also on dries. Han still our only customer out there trying the treaded tires. See somebody come out of the pits right now. That's Glasser making his way out onto the track, maybe trying to find some space or trying to hook up with his draft buddy here. But 5 minutes in so far to a 15-minute session, and Leslie, that 1:18.2 on a completely dry track is absolute heater. So Leslie looking good right now, barring a miracle at the hands of somebody like Conway Swanbeck or Van Wagner. I'm going to say that Leslie's got this pole in the bag.
Yeah, I think by far he's definitely got the pole in the bag. He's ahead by 3/10. It's track's only getting slicker. You don't really see the rain coming down through our cameras right now, but the track is certainly getting slightly wetter and wetter, and the storm is really starting to come through with the whole second line probably going to hit the racetrack right at gridding time. So probably a good congratulations to Joshua Leslie on the pole. I just see so many people sliding off. Just see Adam Duvall just sliding off. A lot of cars that are just slick everywhere. They're trying to do what they can with the slick tires because it's the only way you're going to get to the pole. But I think you're right. This session's almost over with the way the weather conditions are.
Yeah, and looks like as I thought was going to happen, our lap times are starting to drop off a little bit. Leslie down 2/10 from his fast lap, although Conway did just set his fast lap of 1:18.4, so he's only a little less than 3/10 off of Leslie at this point. But everybody else is losing time now, and Hun is still trying those treaded tires, managed to take about a second off, but as you can see, he is nowhere near where he needs to be to climb out of the basement there. He's got almost a 4-second gap ahead. And Michael, still plenty of time to get in there and put the slicks on. You got about 8 minutes left, which is an out lap and 5 or 6 laps. 5 or 6 short laps here at CTMP. And Novice puts in a pretty quick one. That is going to improve him, push him up into P3, and he's still about a second off of Leslie. So right now it's Leslie from Conway, from Novice, from Swanbeck. And we're seeing a pretty good spread of times here, Ken. And sometimes we see a big stack of cars within a very short time interval. But right now I'm looking P1 through P4 are a full second covering all those. Anybody P5 or lower is 1 second off a pole.
Yeah, it definitely has been curious for how the race is going to go. I mean, Joshua Leslie, he's by far been the dominant so far since the start of the season. So you do expect him to kind of run away with the races, almost like an SVG S-type racer here in the SRG Formula 4 series. But between all the drivers, there is a good bit of separation, but I wonder how much of it isn't just a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of inconfidence on the wet track. I started seeing it hit on the visors, having some wet weather. Maybe the track hadn't fully had, but we see a car go wide there. Everybody's just pushing at everything they can to get corners, but I think we'll see a little more competitive race than what we see the time split show. We've certainly been here before on the Slow Motion Broadcasting Network and done the Formula 4 races where we thought everybody was very tight and they ended up very far apart. I think today we might be seeing the opposite of that.
Yeah, and the weather god's dealing us another hand here. The sun, as you can see, is out right now, and the rain has fallen off. So that may give the likes of Conway, Duvall, Swanbeck, Van Wagner, Novice, may give them a crack at moving up here. Still plenty of time left, and the track is going to dry, at least for the time being. And this is kind of reminding me of spring racing in Portland. It can be hot and sunny on one side of the track and undrivably moist on another section. But we're taking a look at Guyton right now as he makes his way around. And here is the fun part right here, this turn 2. Really fun to get it right, and really horrifying to get it wrong. Ken was talking about that. The car gets light coming across that apex. You got to commit to your line, commit to getting on the power, and slight miscalculation there. If you're not as precise as you need to be, that can definitely end in tears. Although we were talking before the show, they have increased the grip a little bit of this grass. So going off at turn 3 used to be guaranteed terminal damage, and you got a chance to save it now, at least, Ken.
Yeah, you certainly do, and thankfully, like we talk about every week with the Sim Racing Group Formula 4 Series, they don't have damage enabled, so they do hit the wall. They do certainly lose time by going off track and having an incident, but the minions do come out of nowhere and fix the car right there on the spot, get it back going, and thankfully it allows people to really optimize the track time that they get by being a part of this league. There's a lot of really good competitiveness in this league, a lot of really good drivers. If you're looking into formula racing, you want to learn how to race in a league, you want to get used to racing around the same people every week, where you can kind of start building a rival or maybe building a friendship. The Sim Racers Group Formula 4 League is definitely a way to start. Gets you all the track time in the world you could ever imagine, and when you're in it, you're in it. You're going to be racing for the front.
Yeah, absolutely, and very good point about the seat time. They have damage off to maximize seat time. This is a developmental league, and if you're a fan of SMB, you know that these drivers, the pointy end of this field, their goal is to move up to F3 cars, and we'll be having an F3 race here on SMB tomorrow night, and you can see where some of last season's hot shoes from the F4 series are doing in those F3 cars. And about 4 minutes left, the track still drying, and it's still Leslie from Conway from Swanbeck, and Conway looks like he chipped away a tiny bit more out of Leslie's lead, but right now it's got about 2/10 forward to Leslie, Swanbeck about 2/10 forward to Conway, and Van Wagner about 4/10 a rear of Swanbeck. So it looks like Van Wagner coming back out onto the track now. And because these laps are so short, Kenan, really not a big deal to stop for fresh tires or play around with compounds, because you're not wasting a ton of time on your outlap and getting your tires hot.
Yeah, it's certainly a strategy that we mention almost every broadcast of, do you go out, use your fresh tires, maybe 7-8 minutes of the session, see what you can get out of it, let the fuel lighten. You don't have to take fuel on the pit stop. Come down pit, take fresh tires, no fuel, lighten up the car with fresh rubber. See if you maybe can push it and get a little more out of it. It does have me curious with 3 minutes left into it, and we see, that's Van Wagner getting a little loose going down the Canada Straight, but the track's definitely dried off. We had a good little rainstorm. The track seemed like it had definitely gotten a little dampness to it. It looks totally dry right now. It would not surprise me to see somebody maybe compete, beat Leslie's time, or at least let him know that he's right up there with them for the pole position as we wind down this qualifying session.
Yeah, track drying nicely. Track temp up to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that little rainstorm not really having an impact on this qualifying at this point. And I got to say, just participating in a couple of these races on public servers this week and getting some practice in, that Leslie time is up there. Josh Leslie is legit fast in these cars, and he's definitely put down a very good time here for CTMP. And taking a look at Guyton right now, we'll switch over to Adam Duvall. Duvall currently sitting looks like about a little less than a second off of Leslie, and I'll see if he can take advantage of this drying track. I said that the initial laps out of the gate were going to be the most important ones, but I may be eating my words here as the sun comes out. It could be these last laps that are the most important laps in qualifying as the cars lightened up, as Ken pointed out, burn off some fuel, track dries, and we'll see if these guys can threaten those top three by putting down heaters here down the stretch.
Yeah, it does have it quite interesting in that second line of weather. It's still holding off, but we're looking at a 50% chance that it hits us within the next 7 minutes. And while we do only have 1 minute left in qualifying, we're looking at a good little line of rain maybe hitting us from the 5th minute to the 10th minute of the race. And whether that does enough track witness that it makes people have to come down and use intermediates or wet tires, Some people may try to back it up and go through, but as we always know, when you stay on a wet track with slick tires, there's always a chance to go off. You really sometimes just don't know when the car's going to lose it. So it's going to be quite interesting to see really how the race unfolds. I think there's quite a bit of weather and movement through. I think a lot of the drivers just really weren't expecting for tonight's race.
Yeah, and well, and how much like real life that is. These, especially in the spring, like I said, around here where I'm from, those spring squalls can kind of come out of nowhere. And having lived in the South near you, Kenan, for many years, those spring and summer squalls and thunderstorms can kind of blow through out of nowhere as well. So if you want to race, you got to learn to drive in the inclement weather, and that's one of the reasons why they're doing it here. I'm taking a look at Samudio here, and he said, meh, I've had enough. Samudio's going to end up bringing up the rear P16. See if we got anybody else out there with an opportunity to threaten this top group. And it doesn't appear that we do. And lap time's really falling off. Conway's last was about 0.6 off of his fastest. Swanbeck's last was about 1.3 seconds off of his fastest. So not a lot of improvement, although it looks like Van Wagner has improved his fast time. And then about half a second off. So we're settling into our final grid here. And as it is right now, it's Leslie from Conway, from Swanbeck, from Wagner, from Duval will be your top 5. And there may be a couple cars here who are going to get to finish this lap. That 83's got to be done. Maybe Michael Hun still has a valid lap going here. See if he is able to improve his time, finally getting back on the slicks in the number 13 car. Or no, that's Duval again.
He did better his time, but not enough to change his position.
Yeah, all right. So that is going to wrap qualifying with a little sprinkle of rain in there to make it interesting. We're going to have that starting grid for you in just 1 second. And remember, what are the interesting things about this? Well, we got no damage. We're going to have a standing start, no warm-up lap. So our start is going to be on cold tires. And gosh, what else? 20-minute sprint, no pit stop. And we're going to get this one underway here in just a moment. As soon as Nathan parks it, we'll have the grid up for you.
Yeah, this race, it's all about giving everything you've got. You have to be 100% of the time. It's the only way you're going to come out victorious. If you want to go a little bit less, play it safer, you won't quite be there. But here we see the starting finish.
All right, and here's your grid. It is Josh Leslie by a mile in pole. He's going to line up next to Lloyd Conway. Then it's going to be Swanbeck and Van Wagner in row 2. Then Adam Duvall will line up next to Jose Navas in 5 and 6. Then Chia next to Guyton. You saw Chia struggling a little bit there early, but manages to qualify up all the way up into P7. It'll be Meyer next to Ken Glasser. Embriette Hyde will line up next to Tyler Hagan in 11 and 12. Good result for her. I think that's the highest we've seen her qualifying one of these. Michael Hun will line up next to Odell. Cy Nathan next to Rudy Samudio, and that will be your 16 car grid from CTMP. So looks like there are a couple cars waiting here. So strictly by the clock, we got about 60 seconds remaining before iRacing forces the start. But if these drivers grid up, we may start a little early. That is Leslie there on the far left-hand side of your screen. He will have the inside run into turn 1. But due to the staggered grid here, what we most frequently are going to see off the start at CTMP, Leslie will probably very quickly move left to take the typical race line into turn 1. And what is that I see? Liquid sunshine coming down for the start. And Kenan, if you got the radar up, go ahead and tell us how that's going to go, whether that's just a band that's going to blow through or it's going to get worse. But looking out at the grid right now, Michael Hun is on the treaded tires again. Interestingly, sitting in P13, you see those treaded Pirellis on that F4 car. Everybody else on slicks. And yeah, an interesting curveball here. Be super interesting to see how this turns out. And I got to say, even in the best weather. That first run across turn 2, across that rise over the apex there can be very challenging, and it's going to be even more so as the rain is falling. And there we go. We are green in Canada, and it's Leslie from Conway from Swanbeck. It looks like Duvall has slipped past Van Wagner in turn 1, and Leslie holding the lead pretty well here. And here's our first challenge. Can we get through turn 2 here cleanly? A couple of cars flirting with the dirt. I saw a little dirt fly up right there, but so far so good. Nothing huge happening so far. It's Leslie from Conway, from Swanbeck, from Duvall. Van Wagner has fallen 1 to P5, and cars nose to tail now, and a pretty good start by these guys, Kevin.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a pretty clean start. I think everybody played it very conservative. They obviously see the water coming down on the helmets. I don't know if starting the race on the rain tires was very good. I think we may have had a car go off there at turn 5, but we do see a pretty good contestation from Conway and Leslie as we head up down the backstretch and going to the S's. So we've got ourselves a good little battle. I don't know what the rain will really affect this one little line. There's a pretty good storm coming after it, but I think the race will be done by then. So everybody's definitely on their heels. They've got to get what they can get now before the conditions just get too severe.
Yeah, not sure what happened with Conway there. Conway's being very aggressive there into the Moss Complex 5A and 5B, showed his nose on the inside, and then moved to the left going down that back straightaway, letting Swanbeck through. So now it's Leslie from Swanbeck, from Conway, from Duvall, from Novice. And it almost seemed like he had a slow down there. He definitely got out of the way. The left side of that Andretti straight on the backside of this track is steeper than the right side, so you'll see these cars line up over to the right going on that back straight for more speed. Oh, and there is our first big incident across turn 2. I told you it was dangerous there, and bam, we lose. Looks like Hagan and Odell are both plummeting down the standings there, and thankfully, as we talked about, damage is off, so they will be underway, but that did not do anything for their positions or lap times. And up front, it is still Leslie from Swanbeck, from Conway, and we'll take a quick look here, and it's, oh my goodness, wow.
Yeah, it looks like he actually kind of made the corner. He went off driver's right a little bit, was eating some grass, but the car behind him just caught up too quickly and went off track as well, and they just kind of had a meeting of the tires. But now we're looking back. Swanbeck is keeping the pressure on. I think he wants to take this lead from Leslie, but it looks like he's strung himself a little wide at the end of the S's. He's going to give up that position to Conway. Conway back to second place to maybe give a little fight to Leslie. Leslie has to love this in his rearview mirrors.
Yeah, he absolutely does to see these guys fighting. He's watching his relative, watching that gap grow. Leslie's got a 1 second gap back to Conway now, and Swanbeck with a little bit of a bobble there in that last little section, 8, 9, 10, allowing Conway back through. And we talked about these fields spreading out sometimes, and it looking like this race may head in that direction as we go onto the back straight, and these laps ticking by so quickly here. Up front, it is Leslie from Conway, from Swanbeck, and here we go. Is the moisture starting to cause problems there? That is where we're with. That is Swanbeck going wide down in Moss Corner, and that's probably, Kenan, the critical corner on the track to get a good drive out of 5B and get a good launch off down this long back straightaway.
Yeah, it certainly is. It really tests the drivers, and it really, in a way, tempts them. They have to go uphill into a double apex right-hand corner, and you really think you can carry a lot of speed to go up that hill. Well, you don't realize you're really going quite fast as it is before you start going up that hill. So if you overshoot the brake marker, you can really overshoot it. Wide drivers left, you can end up in the tires. It's a very easy mistake. We've seen it throughout our entire lives and careers and generations in the entire corner at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yeah, and there is Gia sticking it inside of Meyer there. You saw Meyer struggling through 9 and 10, didn't get a great exit onto that pit straight. Chia getting a really good run down the straightaway, and Tess Meyer side by side into turn 1. Meyer's going to back out of it, and Chia is going to get that done. So good move by him, and that was actually him just getting back to his qualifying position. And Conway starting to reel in Leslie a little bit here. It's Leslie from Conway with about 0.6 interval, those two driving away. Oh, and there's Swanbeck again. More problems from Swanbeck in the same spot. And Kenan, it's very tough right there. You're hard on the brakes coming down out of fifth gear, trying to trail brake through the first part of that. And it's so easy to over rotate. There's a steep hill right there. You come over that crest, and very, very tough. You see that 7 car on the brakes, over rotating a little bit right there, touches the grass, and whoop, off he goes. And that is Swanbeck's second trip to the wall right there. Hopefully he's got some friends there giving him beers, but yeah, he kind of misses the apex and overcooks that entry. You know, that is one of the most challenging sequences on this track, is that 5A and 5B. And when you hit it just right, it feels great. When you don't hit it just right, it feels like Swanbeck's feeling right now.
Yeah, you could really see it the way the rear end just stepped out. You could see the raindrops coming down through the far camera, as we do see now all throughout the track. There's certainly moisture starting to become an issue to all the drivers. I don't really think that was much of a moisture issue. I think there's a little too much heavy braking, a little bit pushing on the rear brakes. It just allowed the rear end to step out. You have the wheel input there. You kind of almost do have to drift to get through those 2 corners. So now we're looking online, and and there's Michael Hahn is just off into the tire barriers, and now we've got Guyton into the tires. Maybe the water is starting to make an effect, and we're looking at a 3-wide battle down the Canadian straight into the S's. Moisture is definitely making an issue to the track, and the drivers are maybe losing their heads a little bit the way they're taking these corners.
Yeah, we may be moving onto the rain lines here, and just so I'm not throwing lingo at you that you're not familiar with, on a dry track, the heavy braking zones, as you see right here, kind of dark on the track in front of you, the heavy braking zones, the heavy acceleration zones will get polished by these cars going around lap after lap, and that gets super slippery in the rain, even if you do have treaded tires on. So these drivers are going to have to adjust their lines, stay off of those areas, and we call that the wet line. So you may see them, and there's another off there. Yeah, you're right, Kenan. It may be getting a little slick right here, and these drivers may need to take a breath, think about what they're doing, and stay off of those dry lines and find other areas in the track that have more grip.
Yeah, we talk about it every time that we have rain races. Just the way it is different. You don't normally see the apex as it is when it comes to raining. You have to really drive off apex. Everything you do almost has to be kind of backwards. And I think some of the moisture, the drivers are certainly recognizing it. There's no way they can't, through their visors, and notice that the moisture's hitting. I just don't think they quite believe it's on the track that the way it is, and they're kind of suffering consequences through that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who is not feeling any consequences from this rain. That is Leslie and Conway. Conway has just put down the fastest lap of the race so far at 1:18.4, and you see him get a great drive out of turn 10 onto that pit straight. Does he have enough to stick it inside of Leslie? Not yet, but they'll still be side by side going into turn 2, playing a game of chicken here, a dangerous one. Conway is going to back out. You don't want to take that one too wide. That wall on the right there on the exit of turn 2 is like a magnet that has collected many, many race cars. But Conway giving Leslie all that he can take right here in worsening conditions. And I'll tell you, Ken, and these guys are absolutely flying, driving off from the rest of the field. Duvall and Van Wagner, no slouches at all in these cars, but Conway has dropped Adam Duvall to the tune of 5 seconds. And again, Conway getting a much better drive out of turn 5 here. Conway's going to have the run. And we'll see what he chooses to do. Leslie will probably cover the inside. The outside pass into turn 8 is doable, but dangerous. And here we go. See what Conway has for Leslie coming off the back straight.
Yeah, both of these drivers are acting like there's no moisture on the track. They're really showing up all of their other competitors here. And you see Conway taking the outside line. He does the smart decision and falls right in behind Leslie. But I think so far over the last couple laps, the moisture on the track, they are hoping it'll come back dry for about maybe the final 5 laps. But halfway in, Conway is making sure Leslie knows he's there. He's putting all the pressure on. He really wants to lead right now.
Yeah, and the lap times falling off just a little bit. Both of those lead drivers, that time just over 1 minute and 20. So about a second and a half off their dry pace as the moisture builds up here at Mosport. And we're about 10 minutes into this, and I don't know. I would be surprised if anybody rolled the dice with a tire change so far. The front drivers are staying on the track pretty well, and if I was driving in the back of the field, I would probably be keeping an eye on them to help me decide whether or not to change tires. That time, Leslie getting a much better drive out of turn 5. This time, Conway is probably not going to have a crack at him, although there is some slipstream in these cars, as we see somebody going wide there and getting passed by the Taco Bell car, making a run for the border. That is Swanbeck, who, despite visiting the grass several times already in this race, is still hanging on to P8. And here we come off the back straight. Leslie still leading Conway, but that gap only 0.3. Leslie covers the inside in turn 10. That's going to give Conway a good run here. And Leslie completely going defensive here. He's either going defensive or starting to experiment with that rain line. And Conway taking the typical line right up to the edge of the grass, Ken. And they're going to take a look right now. That is Duval and Novice here side by side coming out of turn 1, and will they try turn 2 side by side? And as we saw Leslie and Conway do, the car on the outside there thought better of it and backed out of it. But Duval and Van Wagner, one of the better battles on the course right now, about 1/10 between those two.
Yeah, and we've seen the moisture. It's almost past the racetrack, so things will start drying. I think the speeds we have now from the race cars is the speeds we'll see. Jose Navas, I believe that is, getting really hard over the curves, and we'll continue on down the Canadian Straight. We've got a good little three-way battle. And that is Tyler Hagan sliding off and loses it. Impacts the concrete wall, so they'll get that fixed. The little minions will come out to get them going. We don't have damages here, and we have Conway making a look for the lead out of the final corner. We'll leave it to JR to lead us through this.
Yeah, Conway is getting every opportunity around the outside as Leslie going defensive when Conway gets close. But you got to wonder how long this is going to last when you cover that inside and still try to keep your speed up. Leslie's going through his tires quicker than Conway driving that defensive line. You see the cars wiggling a little bit, but the sun is out, so conditions should improve. And again, you see Leslie covering the inside there, or maybe working with trying to find the rain line. But that interval 0.2, and Leslie would like nothing better than to drive away, but Conway is giving him all he can take right now. And again, yeah, I think that is Leslie braking on the wet line right there. He's nervous about the dry racing line, and that's why he's going inside on all those heavy braking zones. But Conway getting a good run here. Leslie squeezing him against the wall. Shades of Sebastian Vettel right there, as he's barely giving Conway any room, and all he's required to give him is one car width, and that is all he's getting. Conway's going to have the inside here, though, into turn 8. Leslie braking deep, and whoa, Leslie showing the huge car control right there. I thought Conway was going to have that one, Kenan, but Leslie holds him off for another lap. 13 minutes left. That's probably about 5 more laps. And can Leslie hold off this onslaught from Conway for 5 laps?
Yeah, Conway certainly got the speed. Joshua Leslie, he's having to run a full defensive line the entire lap. He really did make it work. I was expecting Conway to maybe make a move through the Canada Straight and into the S's, and didn't quite get the draft that I would have expected. He didn't maybe really tuck behind him like I would have expected either, but there's the Conway's definitely has the speed. He's looking right back on him again. He's just trailing his tail. It's really a matter of time, not whipping. I think they might have contacted a little bit. Yeah. Conway is looking to the outside through turns 5 and 6.
Might have been a little smooch there, and Conway getting racy. Conway getting impatient here. He's seeing this track drying and wants to strike while the iron is hot, but now placing himself on the steeper part of this back straight. Remember, the right-hand side is ever so slightly less of a hill to get up, so Conway fighting gravity here as well as Josh Leslie. And can he outbrake Leslie around the outside? And he can't. And Leslie watches out a little bit right there. And frankly, Kenan, it's a good thing that Conway was not there that time, or they would have come together. And coming up on lap traffic right now, that is the 83 car of Michael Hun. And Hun, in a very sportsmanlike manner, gets out of the way and almost pays a heavy price for it. And this battle rages on. That interval now less than 2/10.
Yeah, I think Conway is just inching himself right now. There's only so many laps left. We're looking at just under 5 minutes on race time, so easily probably about 4 laps left. And yeah, Conway almost runs into the back of Leslie there as we see him going down the hill. He's going to duck it in on him. He really wants it. He feels he's faster right here. See what he can get on the brake. You see the rain coming down. It's got to affect the traction somewhat. Even if it's really not fully sticking to the track, that just has to be sticking to the rubber. And now it goes back side by side for the lead down the Canada Straight.
Yeah, and Conway, I am shocked how he's rolling the dice, rolling over that curb on the inside of turn 4. You see how much that's upsetting that F-4 car. And if he's planning to do that 3 or 4 more times down the stretch, he may not get away with that 3 or 4 more times. And once again, Leslie covering the inside of turn 8, Conway sniffing around turn 9. And is Conway going to try to make something happen here? Leslie again covering the inside of 10. Conway is going to have a better run. Leslie moves over to cover the inside of turn 1, and almost side by side. Conway still sniffing around here, and you got to know that inside that helmet, he's plotting, he's planning, he's trying to decide where he's going to make the move. He's going to do something, and then Conway watches out. Conway off in the grass, and Leslie breathing a sigh of relief. Watch that gap increases all the way up to 0.8 there, and that is the trouble spot, folks. Over turn 2, the car gets light over that crest. You got to commit to something you can't see. A slight error in precision there puts Conway in the grass and may have put Josh Leslie out of reach for the next 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, you saw Lloyd Conway going through turn 1. He was really in there. We see Van Wagner really taking the extreme wide line, doing a little bit of grass cutting, and then eventually loses the rear end, bouncing over the curb there. But, you know, I think Conway does have a chance to make an effort on him. He almost caught himself into his own trap. He allowed Josh Leslie to take the lead going through turn 1 and played the crossover to give the outside line going through turns 2 and 3, but caught himself out. He dropped a couple tires onto the grass. It slowed him down a little bit. He's certainly managed in 1.5 second gap with just a few laps to go. But there's no reason to think he can't get back up there. He's certainly been the class of the field on speed. He's really was just following behind Leslie. So I expect there to be a lap where he's going to end up right back on that rear attenuator.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We might have to agree to disagree on that one. It seems to me like Conway may know that his chance is blown and may just want to be hanging on to second right now. That gap coming down a little, but it's still 1.2 seconds. We probably have 2 or 3 laps remaining here. So right now it's Leslie from Conway, from Duvall. The field spread out pretty good. Pretty good fight there with Chia, Embriette, Hyde, Guyton, and Van Wagner right there, though, training up pretty good. And Embriette Hyde working potentially on her best finish so far this season, pushed deep into the top 10 after a pretty good qualifying effort. So cheers to the driver of the 93 car. And a little bird tells me that we'll be having a chat with her a little bit later after this race. But she actually has a chance here to make something happen against Chia, about 0.8 forward to him. And probably not the white flag this time, but next time. So, well, wait a minute. I see the white flag waving. There's Barney beating that thing with an inch of his life. So we are on the final lap here. Leslie maintaining that gap of 1.2 seconds. And yeah, I really do think Conway realizes that that one mistake cost him his chance. And he's just going to get the car across the line in second and get the whatever points he can. And take a look back at this train, this fight for P6. Chia from Hyde, from Guyton, from Van Wagner. And Van Wagner and Swanbeck behind him have both kind of had a tough race. Van Wagner having lost 5 positions, Swanbeck having lost 7. from their qualifying through various off-track excursions as they fight the elements here at CTMP. And there's a little side-by-side action. That is Chia trying to cover off Embriette Hyde, and Hyde a little off pace right there. And is that going to let Guyton through? Not sure what's happening with Embriette. And yeah, she is getting swamped right now. Oh my goodness. And Guyton.
No.
Is that Guyton going on? Yeah, that's Guyton over rotating into the wall. And God, it looked like Hyde was getting swamped there, but I may have been calling the wrong car. That may have been Guyton that was getting past hand over fist. And here comes Josh Leslie fighting off a relentless attack. 20 minutes nonstop, no showing, bumping and grinding from Lloyd Conway. Not enough. Leslie is going to take the win. It's Leslie from Conway from Duval. And just like that, folks, we have burned off a 20-minute race here at Mosport, and that's how the races go at this track. Everything I expected, and really a fantastic race. And here comes Chia leading that little train. Chia from Hyde, from Van Wagner, from Swanbeck, and Guyton will take your final position in the top 10. And yeah, tip of the Hyde tip of the hide to Embriette Hat there, who finishes deep into the top 10 in difficult conditions, and pretty sure that's her best finish so far. So we're going to have those final results for you in a second. But great race here today, Kenan. Not enough rain to really require slicks, but enough rain to get you thinking about where you're driving on the track, get you thinking about the wet line, and get you thinking about whether or not you're going to be able to keep it on.
Yeah, it certainly, and everybody kind of guessing. We even saw some cars decide to start with the wet tires, which didn't prove to maybe be the best strategy, but we had really good racing from the front for the lead all the way to a really fantastic battle between 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. I mean, it's one of those tracks where it's very flowing, it's very high speed, but it's also very short. It keeps the drivers together. It's very hard to really break away and run. Even Joshua Leslie had a fantastic run. It seems like we talk about it almost every week at some point in this broadcast, but the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series, it really relies on minimizing mistakes. If you want to win a race in this series, you have to minimize mistakes. You can be a top 3 car. You can have all the speed in the world. You can be all over the rear attenuator at first place for lap after lap. That one little mistake, you won't win the race. So really well done by Josh Leslie. Really a good job by Lloyd Conway just to recover and not lose a position. Still gets his second place points. That's going to really go a long ways in the points championship.
Yeah, fantastic drive up front. And as you said, Ken, fantastic drive throughout the field. So there are your final race results. It's going to be Joshua Leslie in P1 after a great drive and really ice water in his veins, fighting off relentless pressure from Lloyd Conway, who crosses in P2. Then it's Adam Duvall rounding out your podium. Jose Navas will take P4. Greg Meyer in 5th. Ryan Chia in 6th. Embriette Hyde in 7th. Aaron Van Wagner 8th. Dan Swanbeck 9th. Jacob Guyton will round out your top 10. Then it's Nathan from Glasser, Hagen, Odell, Hun, and Samudio, who may not have taken the start. I show him as 15 laps in a rear. So Samudio may have ducked out before this one started. But man, oh man, what a fantastic race. And Kenan, I'm going to take a quick peek outside here and see.
Looks like the cool down room is pretty full there.
Yeah. It's not quite the clown car level that we have seen in past races. But we do have a few drivers out there, and we'll go ahead and start with Josh Leslie. And Josh, how are those adrenal glands feeling right now? Are you feeling pretty good? Oh, and he disappeared. All right. Well,
might still be cracking a couple of beers with the boys, but I think Jose jumped in for him.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back to Josh, and instead we'll speak to Jose Navas. Jose, good drive today. Looks like you moved up 2 positions from your qualifying position, finished in P4, and it was a fantastic race. I know you're going to enjoy the broadcast later. How was the race from your perspective as a couple little summer squalls moved through Ontario and spiced things up a little bit on the track?
Yeah, definitely. It was when I saw that it was gonna run. It's like, oh damn, because I didn't practice any rain. So it's like, oh, it always happens. Stays dry in practice, and then stays dry in practice, and then rains on the race. But no, it was okay. It was maintaining it pretty good. It did get greasy a little bit in the middle of the race, which made it a little bit tricky. But just being a bit mindful of that and just keeping it on track. As you probably saw, there's 3 times that I failed to do that, but
Yeah, you and a couple other people, we definitely saw some drifting out there, and it probably wasn't your goal when you gridded up for this one today.
no, not at
And
all.
I wanted to know if you had any special congratulations for any other drivers, particularly. I noticed the driver of the '93 car finished deep into the top 10, finishing in P7, and I think that might be her best finish on the season. So, got anything to say for that driver?
Yeah, definitely. She did great today. I'm actually looking forward to see the broadcast. She has been practicing, so it's good. I love that she's improving, and of course, with my lovely wife. Congratulations for the big result, and congratulations to us because we are gonna be parents. So um, she's pregnant, so we are gonna be parents. So that's I'm super excited about that too.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh,
Yeah, thank
excellent.
you.
So Embriette had a co-driver today, and I saw mention of that, whether it was legal to have two drivers in the car in the YouTube chat. That was Poborgi putting in his 2 cents there, and now that makes complete sense to me. But well, congratulations on a great drive. Congratulations on your growing family. And as we wrap up, is there anyone else you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Well, actually, I would really like to give a shout out to Aaron and Ryan and Greg today on the race. Like it was a blast to race with them today. It was like a very good racing and very respectful, which is what Jason really wants on this league, and definitely we got it. And of course, Jason for putting together. Little shout out to my mother-in-law that she is probably listening right now and all excited of the race that we had. So just kiss for everyone.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much for hanging around and sharing your perspective on the race, Jose, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
All righty, take care. All right, and that was Jose Navas, your P4 finisher. And after speaking with Jose, we might as well bring in Embriette, driver of the '93 car, finishing in P7, managed to push up 11 or 4 positions rather from her P11 qualifying. And Embriette, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this may be your best finish in F4 so far. And if that is correct, congratulations on a great drive in challenging conditions.
Yes, this is my best by far. I think previous I had an 11th place finish, so I'm super happy.
Nice. Well, so how did you? We had a couple of summertime squalls blow through Ontario here, spice things up a little bit. How did you handle the adverse conditions out there, or did it ever get wet enough to really impact what you were doing behind the wheel?
When we were practicing, I don't remember who it was, but somebody had said that they had practiced earlier in the rain and that the track had a surprising amount of grip. So I just chose to believe what they said, and I didn't really change the way I drove at all. And so I don't know if the track just didn't get slippy enough or if I'm just improving that much, but I didn't have really too many issues. I guess it was getting a little slippery towards the end. I could see that some people were making more mistakes, and I could feel it maybe a little bit in turn 5 and the last couple of corners, but I wasn't. Maybe I was taking a little easier than usual, but not too bad. I was really happy with how nice this track was in the wet conditions because we've certainly had far worse.
Well, excellent. And you're going to enjoy watching the broadcast. Our brilliant producer, just as you were describing, going through turn 5 in the rain, had a slow motion replay of you doing just that as you were talking about it. So that was awesome. And Jose let slip that you had an extra driver in the car with you today. And I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate you on your growing family. I don't know if he was supposed to say that or not, but he did. So congratulations on that. And thanks so much for stopping by and joining us. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. He said that. Our rigs are back to back. So if he's saying something, I'm hearing it. So I guess he wasn't.
He's in smacking distance.
He's in smacking distance. So I guess he wasn't afraid of the of the repercussions. Totally fine. No, actually, so usually when I'm racing, I'm on Discord, but I'm always muted. And so I can hear what everybody's saying, but I'm not talking. And I really loved and appreciated what people were saying about my drive tonight. It really made me feel good and kind of helped keep the confidence up. There were a couple of people really close behind me for several laps, and it just helped me kind of stay calm and focused. So I appreciate the really nice words there during the race. And of course, thanks to Jose, he congratulated me as soon as we were done. Um, and I guess thanks to him too for being so nice to me on the interview. I heard him. um,
Well,
yeah, so
yeah, and it was a fantastic drive, and you definitely stayed frosty under pressure. We were covering the battle that you were in for several laps, and we've spoken to you before. We know you're putting the time in, and here's what happens when you put the time in: you get better. So, congratulations on that, and yeah, really great drive, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. All right, that is Embriette Hyde, and let's Ken and I will go ahead and bring in Josh Leslie and see if he is ready to share his 2 cents on how he withstood that nonstop pressure from behind for the entirety of this one.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, it doesn't run away with me when I'm trying to stick a microphone in his face. But I think we've got Joshua Leslie, winner today here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and really had quite a good fight with Lloyd Conway behind him. Just one little subtle mistake during the end of the race. Josh, how would you describe your race? You started up front, you finished up front, you obviously got the win, but what kind of pressure were you feeling behind? How did that change the way you drove the track?
Honestly, there was a lot of pressure from Lloyd. I had to defend in to like almost every corner, so it was pretty stressful for most of the race. So
Then we certainly saw that. I mean, you were certainly almost the majority of it, and we even talked about it through the broadcast of how much you may be wearing your tires having to drive such a defensive line with the heavier corners. But we did see moisture throughout. We saw a couple bands of water come through between qualifying and the race. Do you think that really affected the track the way you felt the confidence in the car, knowing that there could be some moisture in front of you, or were you kind of able to feel the grip and you were just lucky to manage staying in front of Lloyd?
I mean, for me, it felt just completely dry. I didn't feel any wet because we were running pretty similar times to practice, so it wasn't too big of a deal.
Yeah, I totally get that. It seemed like most of the drivers throughout the field weren't really having an issue with the wet, and we're actually looking right now where you're just barely covering off through 5 and 6. Leslie coming through you. I mean, how much really like give us a feel for all of us just watching here on YouTube and the Slow Motion Broadcast Network? How stressed were you every time going through the Canada Straight and through the S's finishing a lap? Did you think maybe he would get you on the left side? Maybe that was the corner you'd get out braked, you know? Were you having to push yourself hard? Did you feel like maybe you were still having to play conservative, or what were you
I
looking
mean,
at that got you up front?
I was still trying to push as hard as I could to like try and make a gap from Lloyd, but like there was one time he took the inside line on the straightaway, and I was like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, I feel it. We were saying, oh crap, right here. I said it right next to JR in the booth across the front straightaway. It was quite an incredible challenge that Conway gave you. I know sometimes you've been able to get some victories a little more easier than that, but thankfully you did come out ahead. You're standing here with us in Victory Lane. Who do you want to thank? What sponsors, what people allow you to be here at the track in the sim rig, able to race here today?
Yeah, I want to give a special thanks to Jason. He's here like as a friend to me to give me all this equipment at his shop, and like he's been giving me some coaching as well. So yeah, definitely thanks to Jason.
Yeah, definitely. Guess you guys call him the captain Jason Kocher runs the
Yeah.
Sim Racers Group actual physical retail studio just on the east side of San Jose, California. If I do recall, it sounds like a really cool spot. So you're an in-house driver, and you actually brought home the race today. So there's probably a lot of people around you in that building right now getting ready to party.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, man. Well, I won't hold you up, man. Get to it. Try not to party too hardy. We still got Wednesday to come tomorrow, but congratulations on the win. Well done. We'll see you next week in the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series.
Yep. Thank you.
Your winner, Josh Leslie, and it looks like we have one more driver waiting. And Michael, you're muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, how's it going? First of all, I have said your name probably several dozen times since I started calling these races, and I want to see how badly I'm mispronouncing it. I've been saying Hun. Is that correct or even close?
It's close enough as Huyn, kind of like
Huyn.
H-Win, Huyn.
Quinn, gotcha. All right. Well, I can certainly remember that. And Michael, pretty tough going out there today. You did some of your qualifying on treaded tires, then switched back to slicks, and this weather was certainly a curveball for everybody on the grid. So, how were the conditions out there tonight?
I definitely thought it would be more wet, so went out with the wet tires, and that did not work out. It was a lot dry and did not pay off.
Oh, you were running the race on wets as well.
Yes, so I was just behind everyone getting lapped.
Yeah, I gotcha. It is tough, and we had a wet race actually. Ken and I were talking about last season where it was raining pretty good and hard for probably 10 minutes toward the end of the race, and the slicks were still faster. So these F-4 treaded tires seem to be only worth anything if you're actually driving across the top of the water. So I guess we're learning about tire selection together. But looking forward, it looks like we're going to be at the Indy Road Course coming up next week. So have you got any laps out on that track yet? And how do you think the F4 cars are going to be up there?
I haven't practiced at that track yet, but looking forward to it. Should be fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty good track. It's a little bit divisive. Some people don't really like it, but I think these cars with the downforce and big grip, I think they will be pretty fun out there on Indy Road. So, all right, Michael, thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Thank you, SRG and Slow Motion Broadcast, for putting this together. It's really fun to get a race in every week with the same people. Respectful racing. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there's nothing like league racing. It is awesome, and you seem to have found yourself a very good group here with SRG. So, thank you again, Michael, and we'll see you next week at Indy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, that is going to wrap it for tonight, folks. And man, that was absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, we are not just about these fantastic F4 race cars here on SMB. Tomorrow night, we stay with Sim Racers Group for week 5 of Formula 3 competition. That is going to be at Fuji, same time tomorrow night. And Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula Vs will be at VIR North. And then Ron's Race Nights, we'll see iRacing official top split action with the Radical SR10 at the Thruxton circuit. And on Sunday, there will be a Weekend Warriors double feature. Spec Racer Fords will throw down at Harrah's, and Formula Fords will battle at Road Atlanta. And as I said, 1 week from today, we'll be back here with Formula 4 cars at the Indianapolis Road Course. So don't forget to subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting and hit that notification icon so that you do not miss any of the action. Woo, that was a hell of a race, and it's what we've come to expect out of this group, and so glad you can make it. So I am J.R. Gregory, and on behalf of myself, my partner, Ken Miller, our producer, Marty Sakala, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and hang on, baby. The weekend's coming.